Well, good morning, everybody. I have a special guest with me here today, so you might hear some very cute baby noises and some cooing. She's just on the verge of a nap, and we are in total mom mode today. And so I thought I would steal away a little bit of time, which this is so perfect because today we're talking about time management versus productivity. Now, if you would have asked me probably even a couple of years ago, the difference between time management and productivity, or if you would have asked my team, they would have laughed at you in the face because I have ADHD. Naturally, there are two kinds of people, a visionary or more of an integrator, which is more of like a person who lives in the future or somebody who lives more in the present and potentially the past. And the latter is more administrative. The former is more, a dreamer, right? So I was thinking about this and how far we've come as a company with now my daughter being 6 weeks tomorrow already. And I'm like, literally how? She slept through the night for the first time last night. So not trying to brag, but she's pretty amazing. And we are just so blessed. She's an amazing child. But I have grown so much in time management because when you're a mom, you have to. And I was talking with my director of ops, Kendra, who you guys all know now because you saw her on an episode a couple weeks ago. So go back and watch that if you haven't already. But we were laughing yesterday about how I hired her into a dumpster fire a couple of years ago, because when you're a solopreneur, much like when you are trying to accomplish a goal entirely like on your own, then you bring other people into it. There is a different level of leadership and there is a much different level required of you when you are required to now lead different people other than you. And it's very similar to winning a pageant at a local level combined with or compared to a state level, compared to a national level as well. More cooks in the kitchen, more opinions, but also a greater level required of you to think at an elevated positioning of vision, right? So if your plane was flying at a couple hundred feet or a couple thousand feet, well, now we're ready to go to cruising altitude. And so today I want to talk to you about what I've learned just in the last 6 weeks, even about time management and productivity, and to really give you guys hopefully that 30,000 foot view. Let's say that you're at 10,000 feet right now, and just help you realize that there's always a next level, and elevating there with your mindset first will then help you to elevate there with your skill set, which is why one of our core frameworks is mindset, skill set, repetition. So like I said, I've grown a lot over the last couple of years when it has come to leadership. When I first started my company, I remember, granted, I was 23, so I was a lot of your guys' age or around there. I remember every day waking up and being like, what do I work on? What actions should I take? These different things. And it was so hard to even lead myself. So as a reminder, before you can lead others, you have to learn how to lead yourself. And so take a little bit of an audit of where you're at right now and ask yourself, do I even know how to lead myself? Do I even know how to keep my promises to myself? If I were to interview myself with myself, would the person across the mirror say, you are trustworthy, you are integral, you are a person who keeps her word to herself? And that really is the place to start with everything. So what does that look like on a practical day-to-day basis? Well, if you make a list of things that you're going to get done, how many of those things do you get done? Or do you get distracted and disrupted by just a leaf blowing in the wind, right? Do you have a priority to those things? Do you have a level of fire and ambition and intentionality amongst those things? Like, are you somebody that if I watched you live every day with purpose? Or are you just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants? And now I understand there are different personalities and stuff when it comes to people that are more drivers versus more relaxed people. But here's the thing, and we're going to be talking about this at a free workshop that I'm doing this week, actually, at the time that you guys are listening to this. So today's Tuesday that you guys will be listening to this. Thursday, for anybody who has downloaded our free course, which if you haven't yet, make sure to go in the link in the description, powerhousepageantry.com/free course to go and grab that. But this Thursday, I'm coming out of maternity leave to do a free workshop with hopefully hundreds of you guys. We have about 500 people that have signed up for the course, which is awesome. And hopefully you guys are going through that and getting a ton of value. There's over 12 modules of free coaching and training in there. So make sure you take advantage of that. But on Thursday, I'm doing a free workshop that talks about building your life around your goals rather than your goals around your life. And an interesting part of this, part of what I'm going to be talking about is you have to know what season that you're in. Like right now, I have had a complete heads to tails flip. I used to build my entire world around my goals. And in my 20s, that was a fantastic thing to do because I was single, I was independent, I only had to answer to myself, right? All of that. But myself, right? I didn't have a husband, I didn't have children. And looking back, and this is kind of my point of like the 30,000 foot view, I thought that I was living, and at the time I was living at the highest vantage point that I had at the time. But what was required of me for the next levels of life was a much higher vantage point. And so I had to ask myself, how do I get there? Do I need to hire someone to help me get there? How do I get that perspective? Well, oftentimes it's hanging out with people who have that perspective or someone that can pour into you to let you know what that perspective looks like. Usually that comes through mentorship or a pastor or a coach of some kind. Could come through reading books, listening to podcasts for sure. I think all of those things are great. Like, why only do one? If you really have a goal in mind, I think that you should attack it from every side, right? It's kind of like, how bad do you want it? So I'm in a season of life right now where I am building my goals around my life because in my hierarchy, and your hierarchy might be different, but I believe that this is the way that God created us to function in a healthy way where you can quote unquote have it all, but also you can't have it all at the same time. You can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time, at least when you're in a building phase of something. Okay. And so now, for example, I can't work a 50-hour week like I used to and spend adequate time with my children. I can't do those two things at the same time. My personal conviction and values are that it goes faith, family, then your career and church, and then friends, and then kind of everything else. And so with that, right, work doesn't come before family. Work doesn't come before my faith. And so when I am met with opposition, or when I'm met with a choice, which you will be met with a choice when it comes to your goals, I'm going to choose my family, right? If the Lord asked me to shut down Powerhouse Pageantry tomorrow, I would do it. If the Lord asked me to sell my house tomorrow, I would do it. Because I know that things are only covered when things are under the Lord's covering because they're submitted to Him, right? And maybe you have a different faith practice, but I don't want to do this all on my own. And motherhood is hard enough. Marriage is hard enough. Life is hard enough. Life's getting life, right? And so we want to make sure that we have our priorities straight and that we know what season of life that we're in. And so for me, everything is different after maternity leave in a really exciting way. We are seeing that our team is carrying the ball extremely well and servicing the heck out of our clients. So that when I step back in, it's going to be like an overflow of, I believe, the best coaching program ever, right? Because they're already proving that they're crushing it completely without me, right? Other than some little advisement to my team, obviously, right? And so I'm in a season of where even when I come back, it's not going to look like the 30, 40, 50, 60 hours I was working, where I could do anything that I wanted whenever I wanted. And that's probably been the biggest shift of motherhood is like, I'm at her beck and call, as I should, right? Because I'm not going to neglect my child. I'm not going to neglect my husband, even for the sake of my dreams. And that's the season that I'm in. And I love it, right? Things should never look the same when you birth a whole human that you love and that's a piece of your heart and a piece of your DNA in the living flesh, right? And there's nothing wrong with daycare. There's nothing wrong with those things, but I feel personally convicted to be there as much as I can. So what does that look like? So, Landon and I work super hard so that we have the financial luxury because we've worked our freaking butts off to be able to hire a mother's helper a couple days a week, right? So what that's going to look like is a couple days a week, they will take Willow and I'll service my clients. I'll do what I need to do. I'll run the company. But my priority is being a mother. And it's been proven, a fun fact, that the time that you spend with your children in the first 3 years specifically, like before preschool, before all that, shape the majority of their attachment to you and is directly correlated. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. I have to say that. But there are studies that show that it's directly correlated to basically how someone prospers as an adult, especially in their mental and emotional health and their choices. And so that's really important to me, that they know that I am their first caregiver and that they can come to me and that I was there during those times of development. Like, most of your brain actually develops in the first year of your life. Did you guys know that? So adequate nutrition. That's why I'm passionate about breastfeeding. Now we're getting off topic. But all these different things are super important because, their brain and their livelihood, so much of that is getting solidified in that first year. So while I'm in a season of building my goals around my life, and maybe you're also a mother competing, maybe you're an older contestant who's not married but has a child, or maybe you are married but don't have children, or maybe you're single, right? Maybe you're in high school. It's really important to look at everything that's on the menu of your life and build your goals in your life accordingly around that, okay? So, for example, when I was 20, I was attacking my life around, okay, great, I have my God time every day. That's a piece of the pie. I called my mom every day while I was going for a run. That was a big thing. And then the rest of it was pretty much dedicated towards my goal of winning Miss Nebraska and being a straight A student. Like, that was important to me, right? And then part of winning Miss Nebraska, then I chunked it down and I said, okay, well then a Miss Nebraska is in the gym every day. Miss Nebraska journals. Miss Nebraska takes care of her spirit. So I'm going to spend 30 minutes with God in the morning, non-negotiable. Miss Nebraska gets 8 hours of sleep. Miss Nebraska says no to the parties, says no to underage drinking. Miss Nebraska chooses Miss Nebraska worthy friends. Miss Nebraska sits in the front of the class and answers her professor's questions with respect and dignity. Miss Nebraska dresses a certain way to school, right? And so when I reverse engineered my dreams based on my goals, I was way more productive. Now, let's talk about what we're actually here to talk about, which is productivity and time management. So I had to grow massively in this, like I said, because I had ADHD. So part of how you learn how to do things is by doing things, okay? So you can make a list all day and you can have all the apps on your phone that tell you when your perfect time to go to bed and your perfect time to wake up is. But here's the thing that no one talks about. It's very hard to move your mind until you move your body, okay? And you're sure as heck not going to do anything hard until you've moved your mind and your body. This is why people take cold showers. This is why people cold plunge. This is why people go to the gym. Because when you prove to yourself that you can get physically uncomfortable, and there's huge spiritual implications of this, when you can move your flesh, it's why fasting is so powerful too. When you can say no to your flesh, and with the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the pride of life, and the lust of the flesh, okay? When we can say no to those things and we adamantly put our flesh under, well, what happens? You're a triune being, spirit, soul, and body. So body is the flesh. You have a soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions, and you have a spirit. So when you say no to the flesh, what does that do? Well, it tells soul and spirit, hey, it's our time to shine. Those things start to pick up, stand up a little bit straighter. And because you are nullifying the thoughts, intentions, and the voice also of the flesh, okay, you are literally putting that under, you're putting to death your flesh, then it wakes up the soul and spirit's voice to be able to more clearly speak to you. And that's where correction and direction and encouragement comes from. So cool. Okay. You probably never heard it this way. Okay. This ain't your mama's time management teaching. So it is so important that if you're feeling like you're in a state of confusion or cloudiness, or you can't hear from the Lord, you might be disobedient, to be completely honest. And I don't say that harshly. I just mean stop it. Okay. There's a really easy way to get free. Stop doing the crap that makes you abide in the flesh, hurts your soul, because you're the only one hurting yourself, okay? Get out of that relationship, okay? Quit that job and get a new one. Like, you're not stuck. You're not stuck. I know it feels that way, but you're not, okay? I almost married the wrong person twice. I am so glad I did not, okay? I wouldn't have her. I wouldn't have you, you perfect angel. She's giving me this face. She's like, what are we doing right now? I should be sleeping. Put me in my little cute rockers. I wouldn't have her, right? And so our choices matter. And I think there's this lie of like, live your best life, live your truth, do whatever the heck you want, like in your 20s. And I'm like, no, you make 80% of your decisions in life before you're 30. I heard that stat the other day. Isn't that nuts? 80% of your major decisions. So I'm like, maybe let's not squirrel around. Like, actually, let's not do that. That's kind of dumb. Okay. Not worth it. Let's be smarter about that. And going back to time management. So a lot of this comes from doing. And so we start with the flesh, then that helps us to open up our mind of clarity, intention, gut feelings, Holy Spirit talking to you. What should I do? Who should I talk to? And then when you put the flesh under it, you can also have more transparent dialogue with yourself. You're not constantly working against your own integrity, where you want to self-medicate with distraction. Okay? I love spending time with myself. I'm going to go for a walk with my little Willis right after this. Okay? Like, I'm not afraid to sit alone. I'm not afraid to think. I love sitting with a blank piece of paper, thinking things out and getting divine strategy from the Lord of how I can do things more efficiently. It's literally the best. Okay? So, time management and being productive. You're not going to be productive if you have all this head chatter and this head trash because you are warring against your own spirit because of disobedience. Okay? Now, disobedience doesn't have to mean like sexual sin. That's what everybody goes to. No, it can mean lying. It can mean not keeping your word. It can mean just a million things. Okay? It can be living in anger and not dealing with your anger problems, or shame and not giving that to the Lord and putting it on the altar. It can be literally a million things. Okay? So don't just jump to like the end. It can be choosing to be bitter or discontent about something and sitting in that emotion and not giving that to the Lord. Okay? That's going to fight against your productivity, because your head is trash. Okay? So then body moves the mind, and then mind moves the goal. So whether it's me telling someone to run Facebook ads for the first time and they're scared of it, or break up with that boyfriend, or sign up for this pageant, or spend money on coaching, spend money on a dress, like whatever it is, okay? Your goal is going to require you to stretch, and your goal is going to require you to get to that next level of elevation and that focal point, okay? Vantage point and focal point, okay? A new level of is to see, and also your ability to focus too. And again, focus, I used to like blame ADHD all the time. I learned how to work with like my hyper focus for sure. And part of that is being passionate about something. Like when you're passionate about something, your behavior should follow that, But all of your behavior comes from your state. So again, get rid of the head trash, watch your behavior change, and take action from the person that you want to be in the future and the things that you want in the future. And that will help a ton too. So different vantage point, different focus. So once we get that crap out of the way, then it's time to get down to business, okay? And part of time management is reverse engineering the deadlines that you set on yourself, and also the practical side. Like I used to literally plan my week, and I would put a time period next to how long I thought everything would take. And then I would build my perfect week. And I would build, okay, an hour for this, 2 hours for this, 3 hours for this, 45 minutes for this, 10 minutes for this. And I would literally put in eating time and driving for errands, and then call my mom for 15 minutes or whatever it was, right? And while it wasn't perfect, having a vision and reverse engineering it, it's like the same with if you've ever counted macros. It's super hard to count macros on the fly. And you always end up being like, that was only a half cup of rice. And it was really like a cup and a half. And you self-sabotage, right? Because you want to make things work, rather than it's much easier. Put your macros in for the day, fill up the spaces, and then all you have to do is follow the plan, right? It's way less decision fatigue. It's way less confusion and decisions on your mind. And then it's way easier to follow than have to constantly like, okay, well, what do I want to eat now? What do I want to do now? What should I do next? Like, plan it in the morning from the beginning. Your life will radically change. Okay. Now, last comment on this. As a mom, your schedule, good luck with that, right? Because you are at the mercy of a baby. You are at the mercy of someone that needs you constantly, that needs to eat every 2.5 hours, that may cry the entire time in between feedings, or be fussy, or just want to be held. Yesterday was one of those days, right? And Willow had been waking up like every 2 hours and 45 minutes, which we were grateful for at that point, because the first couple weeks, it's like every 45 minutes. And you're like, how am I ever going to do this? And then you're sleep deprived on top of that, and you're overstimulated, and you've got milk everywhere. It's just like, I want to go home, right? And so I was having one of those days yesterday, and it was date night, and I was not feeling it. I was not feeling cute. I didn't want to put makeup on. I was like literally just gross after a day. I didn't even walk out to get the mail because I literally, like, Willow needed me 24/7 and just was having a rough day with gas and stuff like that. And I was at my wit's end, you guys. I have not slept in 6 weeks. And, it was just kind of at the emptying of my bucket. And so my amazing husband, this is twofold. One, having people in your corner, whether that's me as your coach, my team, or your director or your mom. And I think you should have all those things, by the way. I think everybody needs community, pastor, sister, friends, like plan a girls' night in advance once a month. My sister just texted me this morning and was like, hey, I want to plan sister time, partially with the kids and then partially just with us. And I was like, amazing. And she and I are going to do an episode on my other YouTube soon. So stay tuned. It's going to be hilarious. And then my sister and I and my sister-in-law are going to do another one over Thanksgiving. And it's going to be just nuts. It's going to be absolute chaos. It'll be amazing. We're all very loud and it'll be just a freaking blast. So she was like, I want to schedule sister time and I want to schedule some mom time where we can go on a walk with our babies. I was like, amazing. She's like, when are you free? Give me some times. That's what it takes, you guys. Like, things don't just fall into place. Goals don't just fall into place, okay? You have to arrest your mind, arrest your body, and make things happen, right? Like this morning, I did not want to get up and make some podcasts, but I told my team that I would get them done, and they're waiting on me, right? And that trickles down into everything else that we do as a company. So the second that Willow was kind of passed out and I knew that she was going to be asleep for a couple hours, I was like, cool. I don't have makeup on, but time to make 2 podcasts. We're showing people real mom life and, what it looks like to make time for the things that you've told yourself that you care about, okay? So here's the thing. Like, even in motherhood right now, right? Like, I can't even leave the house to go to the gym. And yesterday felt like I was in a prison, like, all day. And part of your job and my job is to learn how to communicate our needs. And so I texted my husband at like 4:00. I was like, babe, I have literally not left this spot on the couch all day. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overstimulated. I just need time away from the baby. Like, when are you done? And he told me, I'm done at 5:00. I said, great. Here's my schedule the rest of the evening. Now, normally we do date night at 6. I was like, no, I'm not going to be a fun person on date night until these things happen. I need to get a workout in. I tried to put her in her car seat and take her outside, and she was just squirmy all day, and I didn't want her screaming on the park trail. And I sure as heck wasn't going to feed her in the middle of a park bench or something. So we were at home all day, and that's not good for your mental health, right? So I said, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get done at 5. I need help. I need you to wash these bottles. I'm going to do the beginnings of this YouTube workout, which I found this amazing girl that I love, where I can put Willow in the swing and just move my body a little bit. And then I'm going to go for a walk and I'm going to take a long shower. And here's my ideas for date night, because it's my day to plan. And I think we should just go for a vision drive. We love to look at expensive houses and whatever. And we can do this and this and this. And I made a plan. So I was like, can we start date night closer to 7? And he's like, absolutely. I was like, I'll feed Will one more time. Then she'll be sleeping and it'll be good. We can come back at 9 or 10. And he's so gracious. He's so amazing, because obviously he's not with her all day. And so I'm like, it's your time to be dad, And we have to communicate, because sometimes he's had a really hard day too. And the last thing that he wants to do is be with a screaming infant, right? But God gives you grace for your season. And there should be a grace over the ability to do hard things for your goal too. But you have to communicate, right? Other times when I haven't been such a great wife, Landon's come up from where he works and I've just verbally vomited all over him like it's his fault that I had a hard day. And he's like, what is happening? Let me take the baby. You need to go for a walk, right? And luckily, he is so good at pacifying situations when I'm just freaking out because I'm again, overwhelmed. And so part of that is like, do you even know how to communicate with yourself about your goals? Do you know how to check in with yourself and say, I'm overwhelmed. I need to change something. This isn't working, right? Or tell someone else those feelings, those emotions, like let that air out of that balloon a little bit. And I'm so grateful that Landon and I can do that in our marriage, because otherwise we're two very strong people that would clash like a car wreck, rather than being able to really communicate beautifully and just say like, hey, I'm not at my best. Like, I'm a 2 out of 10 right now. Where's your cup? How full is your cup? And that's even a really great visual if you're in a relationship and you're afraid to tell somebody something. Then just say, hey, I'm feeling a little scared to tell you something, but I feel like I have just some big emotions right now. And tell them, hey, it's not your fault. I'm just like feeling the feels right now. One thing that Landon and I do that I think I mentioned in another podcast, especially in this season, is I'll just tell him, I need 5 minutes to cry. And I need you to just sit there. Like, let me lay my head on your shoulder. I need to cry for 5 minutes and then I'll be fine. You hold the baby and I'm just going to sit here and cry, right? And that's a very vulnerable thing. If you're by yourself, you might just need to lock your door and just cry by yourself. And then watch a funny video and get back on schedule. Then get your butt to the gym, or look at your to-do list again and be like, okay, where are we picking back up? I can do this, right? Or listen to a sermon. Again, a lot of times it's moving your body, you guys, that will then help you move your mind. I'm telling you, like, go walk for 20 minutes and you will not feel the same that you did. Like, you will feel astronomically better than you did. Or do a 10-minute little YouTube workout. So shout out to Grow with Joe. I'm obsessed with her videos right now. She has probably over 1,000 videos at this point. And at the time of this recording, like 6.2 million subscribers. I'd love to have her on my YouTube one day, actually. I should try to make that happen. They're all just home workouts for moms, for anybody, but for women, specifically, who don't have time and might have one arm, like because they're holding a baby in the other arm. And, my life has just so radically turned on its head, where I'm realizing how much time I actually had. And I'll kind of land the plane with this, with time management and productivity. Like, I was an extremely productive person, but now I have to manage my time within how productive I am. Like, you can be productive and not manage your time well, because you actually just procrastinate and then you get a bunch of stuff done in a very short time period. And when you're on your own, you can do that, because you can work at 2 a.m. if you want. You can work at 4 p.m. if you want. Like, it really doesn't matter. But when you have increased obligations that affect more people than just you start to really have to become a great time manager. And that's the same in the workplace, right? You can be productive in the workplace, but also, are you a good time manager in the workplace? If you can be a great time manager and a productive person in the workplace, you're going to find yourself getting promotion after promotion after promotion, because they can't afford to live without you. And the same thing is with any goal that you're pursuing, right? When you are doing a pageant, when you are, whatever your goal is, okay? Obviously, I speak specifically to pageant women, but whatever your goal is, like, that's something that people are constantly assessing of you, right? Is this an efficient person? Is this an effective person? Does this person add value to my life when they're in the room? When you're doing an interview, you are literally selling the product or service, of yourself, your message, your platform, your vision, your looks, your everything. Everything is speaking a message, even if you don't intend it to, right? And so we want to make sure that the things that are our goals, that everything about us is in alignment with something that would add value to that position, and something that makes it very easy for people to say yes to you, rather than making it difficult for people to say yes to you. So I leave you with that today. I'm still growing and learning. This is a beautiful season where I'm having to learn to be more efficient than literally ever. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this transparent, just kind of like guard down mama talk today. And make sure that you sign up for our workshop, which is happening on Thursday. The link is in the description, where you guys can go ahead and sign up for that. And it's going to be an amazing time. So we'll see you guys soon.